Looks like a 740 number just came in. Oh, 971. Is that you, Mike? Or
It shouldn't be. Is there 0055 at the end?
no?
Oh, that's me.
I'm at 7167,
Oh, Mark. What?
but my phone is safely out of reach.
I think Mark. The one that's saying that's me, that's Mark. Okay. Someone is echoing, so. Yeah, if you have two devices up, we can hear you on, you will need to mute one of them. Okay. It is also lagging, so because of that.
At the tone, please record your voice message. When you are finished recording, you may hang up or press pound for more options.
Was everyone able to hear my last comment about the audio?
I heard it.
Okay.
I hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Yes. So there's like there's a lag. Actually, you know what? Oh, I know my issue. Okay. All right. I'm good. Sorry, everybody. We'll start the meeting. I think I see Mark, Adam, Barrett, Dennis, and Dustin on here. So it looks like we have a full quorum. Everything is being recorded via YouTube and a personal recording device. So I am ready to start the meeting whenever you are, Mark.
Go ahead.
All right, we'll have roll call. Mr. Jewell.
Here.
Mr. Bahavich.
Here.
Mr. McNulty.
Here.
Mr. Doherty.
Here.
Ms. Alt.
Here.
So we need a motion to come back from recess for application ZON-19-07.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
I'm going to give the move to Dennis. Motion to back from recess for application number ZON-19-0, second by Mr. McNulty, second by Ms. Alt. Those voting, Mr. Jewell,
Yes.
Mr. Bahavich,
Yes.
Mr. McNulty,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Ms. Alt.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a new submission from the applicant. If you please bear with us, because this is a totally new way of doing this. I'm interested to see how well this goes, but I see Mr. Eiderman's smiling face on my computer screen, so I take it you're here.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you
Yes,
fine.
sir.
Tony. This is Andy.
This just goes to show you have a face for radio and a voice for newsprint.
if you would like to give a brief statement about the new submission, we can get started.
Good evening. My name is Tony Ironman. I'm at 1907 River Road in Delaware. We received comments back from the previous zoning hearing, and on March 17th or 18th, I believe it's the 18th, we resubmitted with taking into account all the comments that were provided us. And in the submission, we went through the several pages of comments. I think there were 6 pages total, agreeing with just about everything in there. Some were just clarity items. And we believe we've addressed most all of those. There were 3 outstanding items, if I remember correctly. One was providing a sanitary letter. One was providing an ODOT letter for the northern driveway, or the driveway to the northern structure off of 23. And the third item was getting information to and comments back from the fire department. We have received from, I think it's Michelle who's running the controls, but we received a letter from the consultant on the sanitary system for the northern structure. While there's no one in it at the time, they couldn't run a full test, but they did do an inspection. And if I remember correctly, it's pretty simple, their response. But they said, I believe that the system looks operable. And the second item is the ODOT letter. And while we've had Andy Wecker has had several conversations with ODOT, we've not been able to get a letter back yet from ODOT on the operation of that driveway. However, my experience in this, and this is just kind of an aside, is that if you do not have permission for access on Route 23, your access is terminated immediately. And it's recorded that way on the state logs. And we've not been able to find that has been terminated. In this instance here, for our development plan, we are not intending on using that for the function or the operations of Mr. Miller's retail business. However, we do intend on keeping that as an open and operable access to 23. It just may not be, the drive may not be extended into our business as is illustrated on the development plan. And as I mentioned to Andy, and I don't know if anyone else was on it or not today, but it's kind of like having an easement on a property that's not being used for anything, but it's still part of the record of the land. And that's what that drive access is. And if we ever need it for anything, we would have to come back to the township for a new or an amended development plan for whatever our new proposal would be. The last item is the fire department. It was a little bit of our fault, but we were late in getting comments or plans to them for their comment. Having had the good fortune of working in Orange Township for many years, their comments were exactly what I expected, that there has to be access to it. I mentioned to Michelle in a conversation we had earlier today that we can achieve all those items, particularly in the one particular one, probably the toughest one, without looking at the plan, would be 150 foot with service within 150 feet of every corner of the north structure. And what we had proposed to do is to take the drive that's at the north and east corner, which is the top left corner of your property, and move the parking to the north and the drive to the south. And as a reference, from the corner of the fence to the south of the 6 head-in parking spaces to the southwest corner of the north structure is 135 feet. So we achieved that 150 foot. Everything else on the fire department's comments, we are be pleased to work with Lieutenant Clark and Chief Noble on arriving at each of those items. I don't see any of those items being an obstruction or a difficulty in achieving to meet in compliance with their letter. For the meeting tonight, if it pleases the zoning commission, we can go through attachment B, which are the items that were provided to us through Mike. And we can proceed however you'd like.
That's fine. We have to go through them eventually anyway. So.
Okay.
If I could, before we go there,
Sure.
did you have an opportunity to look at the attachment A? I tried to get a list of all documents that at this point would constitute the approval. As you know, these were all turned in loose form in waves. But have you had a chance to look at that?
Yes.
Yes.
And for
You get Andy and me both.
okay, and I had, but as to the site furnishing examples, second page next to last bullet, I would just point out that that was modified, and I think I sent it to you, but I can't take an oath. Site furnishing examples, accepting those lighting examples which are not downlight. So that latter part was new text.
Right.
Just want to make sure we're all working with the same materials.
Yep. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, thank you.
I'm showing the most current version on the screen too, so.
Would you prefer that I start on the comments?
Go ahead.
Okay. For the most part, now I'll give a very brief summary, but we are good with just about all of these items. It's kind of humorous because some of these were, particularly item 1, the disclaimer was actually borrowed from Evans Farm, and no one caught it in Evans Farm, and no one caught it all the way through here, but Mike caught it. Thank you, Mike.
Well, no, actually zoning staff caught it, Tony.
Oh, good job, zoning staff. But what our eyes can look past.
Yep.
Second sentence, the word charge should be changed. We're good with that. Item number 2, on page 2 of the development text, the 5th paragraph, section 1403A, should read no new permanent structures will be permitted in the zoning district. We agree. Item 3, modify the reply to section 1407K. Mike, and this is a question, but I think this is our response too, is what our intentions were. We weren't very clear in our text was that the contents of the displays may be rearranged, but the display area is not rearranged. That's a question.
Okay, yeah, Tony, quite honestly, when I read it, that's not how I took it. I thought, the most likely outcome was what I commented on there. But
Yep.
I think if the comment I made about the displays themselves could be relocated from one display area to another, I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, and I'll work with you on modifying the text so it reads as we both intend.
Okay.
Item 4, as regards to hard surface walks and drives, modify the reply of section 1407K to provide that walk shall be surfaced solely with tar and chip or asphalt pavement. We are good with that. We're good with that. Item 5 is probably.
What's that?
I have a,
Is there a comment about that?
well, I have a comment. Is the fire department okay with the tar and chip material or?
The fire department, I believe, Michelle, is going to require their typical standard hard surface, 20 feet wide, capable of supporting 70,000 pound, apparatus.
Okay.
That is, so obviously these paths, these trails are not intended, well, I don't believe they're intended for that use.
Correct.
There will be a path or an apparatus access drive that is intended for that purpose. As Tony said, they simply have to meet the standard and not necessarily for the entirety of the paving.
May I move on?
Yep.
Okay. It's easier when we're in person. That way I can tell when someone's finished and I don't step on them. And item number 5 is an either or, but I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding there. It's in respect to the US 23 right of way and the use of the setback area along that right of way.
What the heck?
In the last meetings, last 2 meetings, I think we've talked about using 40% of the area in the setback, along that setback corridor along 23. And what we've done on the development plan is shown what those 3 areas totaling slightly less than 40% of the open space would look like. In doing that, we allow ourselves landscape areas that kind of move in and out and don't make it look quite such like a used car lot. And that, so in regards to item number 5, the 48-foot minimum setback really isn't intended. It's an 80-foot setback with 40% use of that area with the actual 15% pavement or 15-foot pavement setback along the right of way. And it breaks that up and allows a little bit more landscaping to come out front, but it also allows landscaping to penetrate and be used around the display areas.
Tony, the point of the comment, and I drafted it both ways. 40, it says with regard to pavement setback, provide 40 feet. In the first one, second one says that provide a 15-foot, but limit it solely to the display areas, the balance of the area as far as paving, to have a 48-foot, requirement.
Okay. If we have one, if we can choose of those 2, probably the second one is the one we'll proceed with. But we'll work with you on how that's incorporated into the text.
Yeah, I was just going to ask the commission which one do they favor?
Do any of the commission members have preference over either one of the comments for number 5? Or I'm sorry, the stipulations?
I like the second one better. This is Dustin.
Thank you.
I like the second one better as well.
I agree. Dennis.
All right.
That's
Thank
three.
you. Item number 6, in addressing the smalls, modify the last sentence of the 5th paragraph of section 1407K. Mike, the only thing I could find was that there's a plural on sheds.
No, there was a comment, Tony, and Andy may have seen this. It was a case a while back where they literally got into grammar and decided the case based on that. And the way it was originally in there, it did not have a comma after barns. So, you know, technically, I think it would read shed, barns, or other solid structures that are 15 feet in height or greater. Well, sheds and barns, as I understood it, were to be out. And then the play sets over 15 feet were to be out. So that's the way it was drafted, but that was the change. So yeah, sheds, just to pick up the plural because you used barns.
Okay.
The comma after barns was really the more important thing in my mind.
Okay. We're good. We're good with that. Item number 7, add the following at the end of the 5th paragraph of reply section 1407K. If the 40% area is not used for outdoor display purposes, it shall be green space. We agree. Item 8, add the following at the end of the last paragraph, the reply for section 1407K. No inventory or pallets or stacks of materials may be stored to a height taller than the fencing. The only thing I have on that is in the area that, the area for the assembly and storage, there are going to be times that we're assembling a children's play structure or something, preparing it to go out onto the display area. And it's going to be sitting behind the fence, and it's going to be taller than that fence area. So the inventory reference, we have a problem with. If it read no pallets or stacks of materials may be stored to a height taller than the fencing, we'd be fine with that.
Tony, what if we, and this is just a question, no inventory of pallets or stacks of materials, comma, excepting, you know, children's play sets or whatever.
Well, you need to include sheds, barns, or solid structures as well.
Yeah, you got the gazebos too, forget it. It didn't go any, it's like, yeah, it was off the top of my head.
Mike, what do you think of just striking inventory or so it reads no pallets or stacks of materials?
Well, I think that that's really more in the nature. This stipulation actually came from Ohio Mulch, you know, people just out there. When they went in, that was one of the conditions on them. And you know, it seemed appropriate to have it here as well. I would leave it to the commission. I understand your point, and that really wasn't my intent. Otherwise, you'd be assembling it outside of the assembly area, and that doesn't make any sense.
I'm okay striking inventory or.
Yeah, this is Adam. Mark, I agree with you. I think just pallets or stacks of materials is really what would be the concern.
Okay. Let's just go with that then, Tony.
With that struck, we are good. We're good with adding that statement. Item 9, modify the last sentence of the 8th paragraph of section 1403. It actually is 1406B3. Haha, one of the
Finally.
last ones, Mike. I finally got you.
You did.
Tony, what was the section?
1406B3.
Okay, thank you.
The exterior of the structure shall be sided with wood and painted with Sherwin-Williams A100 JDM Black Fox satin paint to match the southern structure. The structure is currently metal, though if you drive by it, you really can't tell because it's behind the southern structure. It's screened by pretty tall evergreens on either side of the southern structure too. And then we're going to be adding an 8-foot fence there. Daniel would prefer to keep that structure, the material that it is, which is a metal siding. We'll paint it to match the southern structure, which is that charcoal colored paint. So we'll match the southern structure as well. So we would prefer not to have to add or come in and take off all the siding and replace it with wood. It's with it painted metal, it's going to look the same regardless.
The other thing I might add is when I talked to Daniel Miller today, he said in addition to paint, he plans to remove the metal or existing roof from both buildings, re-roof with shingles, and then to the extent that either roof is lacking a gable overhang, he wanted to add gable overhangs to that.
Well, that stipulation came from notes taken at the hearing of a discussion, that went in that direction. So again, it lies with the commission.
I'm okay with not reciting it, just painting it so it matches.
What if we deleted the sided with wood and then just paint it with the color similar to the southern structure? I don't know if you guys can see my screen.
That's pretty much what it reads right now, Michelle. That's the rest of that, and Tony, you can judge it, but the point was said, we talked about no wood, or there was discussion about no wood.
Yeah, I remember the discussion. We didn't know, so I understood where it came from.
Okay.
With that struck, then we're good with that comment as well. Item number 10, modify section 1405 to read all uses that are not specifically listed as permitted uses and those accessory uses. Parking areas, drives, etc., that support the permitted uses shall be prohibited. We're okay with that. Item number 11A, provide a permanently installed landscape buffer along US 23 frontage outside of the right-of-way. I don't think we have a problem with that. I was just curious, Mike, what, or maybe it was the staff, what they were looking at along there. Because we have the landscape buffer working around the 3 outdoor display areas. The crossbuck fence along the right of way.
Yeah, the stipulation came from the fence, I assume, is not portable, but pretty much all the other landscaping in the right of way is stated to be portable, and we have not allowed, the township, at least to this point, has not approved entirely portable landscaping, is what's proposed in the text right now.
And this is something that staff also made a comment on. So I think we were looking to have a consistent landscape.
With the balance of the corridor, yes.
Yeah, along 23.
Okay.
Whether it's shrubs or something, but it's, the landscaping you have states that it could be moved seasonally. So just something consistent.
Okay. We'll agree with that. Item 11A, we agree with. Item B indicates the type of
And
plan.
could you provide a plan, Tony, or a drawing?
Yeah.
If you would, just so we know what
We'll do that.
Thank you.
And then with that, on item B, we'll have those types of plant material listed, as well as a range of plant materials that will be included in the container plant material plantings. Item C, incorporate the shade trees or the plant specs in the section 1407K into the landscape plan. We'll
and
do
the
that.
trees themselves, yeah, right now they don't appear.
Yep. Correct the landscape plan to provide that, so we'll have the plan corrected. D, in the development text on the landscape plan, indicate the headlight buffer shall be a minimum of 36 inches height. It shows 30, so we'll make that correction. On item E on page 17 of the development plan or development text, second bullet point, the third paragraph of 1407P, provide that there shall be replacements for dead, dying, or undesirable trees that are removed along the east property line. Daniel has met with the neighbors on the east side, And they've agreed that many of the trees along there, not all by any means, but many of the trees are elm, ash, cottonwood, all the undesirable trees are trees that if you went to a jurisdiction that had permitted trees to use, that those would be trees that would not be permitted. Many of them were undesirable. Many of them were dead or dying or tops blown out or whatever. Daniel has had his crews go in there and remove a number of the trees. Our intention is to, and I know Daniel has spoken with our neighbors, Carl in particular, and I believe Carl's on the line, so he can confirm this, please. But he's going to provide a fence along the east line for the neighbors. He's also going to supplement the area that did not have the mound with additional mounds in there as well. And we'll have plantings in there, and we'll provide a plan to show those plantings in that area. In respect to the comment that we have replacements for each of, it doesn't say for each of them. We won't have replacements for each, but we'll have a landscape plan that we'll put on the plan, landscape design to put on the plan for that area along there behind the fence. Moving on, item F on page 17 of the development text in the second bullet point of the third paragraph, 1407P. Add a provision requiring a 42-inch height orange construction fence to delineate the limits of the trees to be preserved. We'll do that if that's necessary, but because Daniel and the neighbors have already been there and identified what trees are to remain, I'm not certain that's necessary. The edge of the pavement is there. And the trees are pretty clear because they're probably 30 or 40 feet high, what trees are going to remain.
That stipulation, you might remember Dick Ladman actually came up.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason he came up with it is that, yes, people would agree at this level to, preserve the trees, and then the crews would get on the site and suddenly there were phone calls, the trees were gone. With the construction fence, I have to say, we never really had any drama after that.
Okay, we'll do it. Number 12 on page 18 of the first sentence of the second paragraph of the reply to section 2101, insert the word drive following stone. Additionally, and in the text will read, additionally, an existing asphalt and compacted stone drive, which drive was missing, shall be maintained and improved to a tar and chip surface as a service access from Lewis Center Road. We'll do that. Item 13 on page 24. For some reason this time around, the text did not transfer over clearly, and there were setback numbers for Class C and Class D roads that didn't make the trip into our text, but we'll make those corrections. That we have no Class C or Class D roads on our site, so it didn't have any impact on us, but we'll make sure it's cleared up. On item 14 in the reply of section 1406B3, A, provide a complete listing of permitted exterior materials, maintaining the prohibition against the introduction of new exterior vinyl and aluminum materials in the redesign of the structures. We will do that. Specify the roof pitch of all structures. I have a question and then I'll say okay, but do you want me to go up on the ladder and measure that off at what pitch it is? Or can we maintain the current pitches that are there? I'll go up on the ladder and measure them if you need me to.
I hate the thought, Tony.
So do I, but I'll do it.
Yeah, the thing is, if, right now they're putting new roofs on, in the future, God knows what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
There's no standard, there's no standard.
Yep, we'll get it taken care of. Item C, specify the range of colors to be permitted for exterior materials and roofs. Consider the Munsell charts. We're providing specific paints for the southern building, and the northern structure is to match what's on there already. Mike, if you have a Munsell chart, I'd be happy to use it, but I haven't been able to find a Munsell chart in probably 5 years.
Michelle, do you have one?
I just purchased the most current edition. Yeah.
May I borrow it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure it's copyrighted and everything, so I'll copy it for my own particular use and nothing else.
It's just going forward, Tony. Right now, I have no objection whatsoever to the color schemes he's proposing, but this is the third owner of the property.
No, I got you.
The fourth owner might have a different view of the world.
Yep. We will do that. Letter D, specify the manner and materials to be utilized in the screening of those items and areas addressed in site utilities on page 7. We will do that. That'll probably be incorporated into the landscape plan. Item E, provide details as to the construction materials of the entry sign and the message on its sign face. We will do that as well. Item 15, eliminate all exterior downlights of fixtures from the development text. And we say that in our new text that we will have nothing but downlighting in the development text. I suspect, Mike, you're referring to the site furnishings previous submittal that had some of the smaller things that would be attached to a barn or a shed or something like that.
Well, they were first of all called out as examples, as I remember.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking there was a statement. Let me see if I can do a quick search here. Oh, maybe. Oh, good God. Well, get the quick search. I can't get out of this program without messing it up.
Well, what are you trying to look for, Mike?
Bowl, B-O-W-L, in the March 17th submittal. And looking at the examples that had been previously, you're right. Previously, that is where those pictures all came from. That was the February submission.
What we'll do.
I think you have the word bowl in there somewhere. And it might have been a relic.
Yeah, it probably was, because in our March 18th submittal on page 8, it says all light fixtures shall be oriented downward to comply with dark sky standards. So it might be a relic.
So yeah, that's
an interesting.
Tony, assuming you're in agreement, I'll find that and tell you where it is. I'm sorry, right now my computer is having enough trouble staying on task.
No problem. If there is a relic there, we'd be happy to remove that.
Right.
Item 16, in the reply to section 1406B4, state when the replacement light fixtures will be installed on the 2 existing wooden light poles. We will do that and have that corrected with the lighting plan before our next meeting.
And are those to happen when the balance of this project goes forward, or is that a future event?
I believe it's going to be when we start with the overall, the most immediate time, when we install everything else.
Okay. Yeah, if you could just put that in there.
Yep. Item 17, as regards to the 2 emergency drives identified on development plan at the north and south ends of the property, insert verbiage into the development text providing that these accesses will be constructed to the requirements of the Orange Township Fire Department and will not be blocked by sheds, structures, and other products or materials. We'll do that. Further add text providing the same requirements for the north drive on US 23 the event ODOT approves its use. That last sentence, while we may keep that drive access on the books for US 23, our intention is not to extend that drive into the site on this development plan. So it will be there for if we ever decide to, we don't know what's going to happen in 20 years on the northern lots.
Right.
And the northern lots really do not have any access to 23. So this may be the only access they have. We'll retain the access to it, but it won't be used in this development plan.
Andy, and I think Tony just answered the question, but we've got, have these been joined into one part? Or are they still three separate? I mean, I believe they're three separate parcels.
Is legal descriptions and as parcels with the county auditor's office, they are three separate parcels. That's correct.
Okay. And I guess if it spins off, and I guess if it was used residentially, it probably wouldn't be an issue. It'll still have the zoning on it. Just trying to think, the fire department's 2-access rule. You would have 1 access off of Lewis Center. I assume you aren't giving up that easement. And maybe you just have to talk about the other access off of 23 when that happens. As far as, Tony knows they're religious about that. And they have their reasons, and I'm not criticizing.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
Tony, what if we were to say, in the event that ODOT approves its use and it is, utilized as an access?
Okay. I'd be happy to work with you on this. We'll get the text right the way you want it. The thing we don't want to do is give up rights to.
No, I don't want you to. Yeah.
But at the same time, we don't intend on using it for this development plan. And any use of it would require us to come back before the zoning commission for an amendment or a new development plan.
So, I think we could, why don't we talk about that and try and come up with it?
Okay.
But yeah, I understand the value of a curb cut along US 23.
Yeah, especially the one at the southeast corner of Lewis Center and 23.
Yeah.
We'll work with you on that text.
We'll get through that.
Item number 18 on page 15 of the development text, modify the 6th paragraph of the reply to section 1407K to read, outdoor displays are prohibited within the northern, southern, and eastern structure and pavement setback areas. We agree, and we'll do that. Item 19, we agree with also on detail 4, the detail plan 1 of 2 and details plan regarding the 8-foot privacy fence, correct treaded to treated in 3 places. And we will do that as well.
Yeah, Tony, the reason I called them 2 different names is there's no 1 of 2 on the 8.5 by,
right.
Yeah. Or the 11 by 17.
So of the 19 items, I think we're good, having gone through them, we're good with everything that was commented on. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any comments from members of the commission?
No, I'm good.
This is Dustin. I don't have any comments.
I'm good as well.
Yeah, this is Adam. I don't have anything additional.
Michelle, did you have anything else?
I don't have any other comments. Thank you.
I've got nothing else. How do we want to proceed at this point?
I think the options are either C, a corrected version for a final vote, or send it on. So it's still up to you guys. We'll have,
The only problem with sending it on is there's still language that's to be determined.
yeah.
So I would hate to send it on with that as a caveat.
Well, stipulations can be an issue too. But it lies with the commission.
So, Mark, you're not looking for another submittal. You just want the language to be worked out in the recommendation, right?
Well, I'll be honest, if it was a dream world, Michelle, I mean, we've got what we've got. I guess the first question is as to the listing in attachment A. I think I would hope to, I mean, the worst of it's done. I mean, Andy can probably appreciate what a joy it was to put that list together. The ones on that list that are affected, I would say it would be good to see new and corrected versions of. The ones that aren't, here's the list, we'll change the date. It might be nice if we could get it all on a binder. And maybe your office doesn't need that, but I will say it made it a little more challenging to have loose papers. So I put them in a binder. But, my thought would be to see the drawings that are affected and not get into duplicating anything that isn't affected.
Yeah, Michelle, there were two things I can think of that I think we need to see again.
Okay.
The language that's to be determined, and in particular the landscape plan that's going to be changed and coming our way. So it would probably be helpful to see those two again before we. So I don't know if we do a mini submittal, or as Mike said, maybe have them put it together as a binder to send on. I will leave that to however the applicant and you and Mike want to work that out.
Or how does the commission want to do it, really? I do think if the files drop, that list is going to be invaluable. Oh, God. I think it'd be useful. I mean, typically we do get them in binders. Recently, we haven't for some reason. I think in storage, I mean, Michelle, once we have a motion, you assemble the identified materials and, clip it, bind it, or something it?
Yes. Yep. I stamp every page with the resolution number and the case number in both physical and digital copies, and they are binded.
Okay.
But I mean, I can put them in binders, or we can have them put them in binders. We have a lot of binders, so I take them out of I bind it in a different way once it's finalized, because binders
Sure.
take up a lot of space.
More permanent, yeah.
Then maybe we just have them submit the papers that need to be submitted. The language is to be determined, the landscape plan, and any of the drawings that need to be amended.
Yeah, I think that, Andy and Tony and I and Michelle can work out what documents are really being affected here. And those would be the only ones. I don't see any point in reinventing that wheel. We have our list. We'll update the attachment A, and that'll be good enough for government work. And the onus falls on.
I mean, I just want to make note, I'm going to want update or revise submittals for the trustees once it gets to that point too.
Yeah. Hopefully they'd be the same.
Yeah, and that would be a full, the full application, so they have it.
All dated the same.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be nice. And, and Andy and Tony knows this. I mean, I'll be going through and checking the list items against the new items to make sure they're all the same, because things get mixed mastered after, this many versions. I mean, technically, this is the second version we've seen, but there was paperwork before that and an informal meeting before that. So it happens.
So if they need to make a new binder, you just want to have them make it now, we can approve that and you just hand it right off to the trustees?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's less paper we have to worry about, so.
I don't think we need 15 copies, do you, Michelle?
No, I think we're at like,
5, 7?
yeah, 5, I believe.
Oh, 7, I'd like one.
Okay, 7.
Tony, if you would, please give me the full-size scale drawings on the ones that are affected.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Michelle, would you like full size too?
I just need one.
Well, I just need one.
I'll
Just
provide
total
you
2.
3 full size then.
Okay.
7 overall copies.
So how long do you think it'll take you to put all that together?
God, here we go. Let's try that. That'll work.
Will we be submitting for the next meeting or?
It would probably be best because then we can just hand that right off to the trustees.
Right.
Okay.
You'll have to do it anyway, so.
What, it'll probably, by the time we pull everything to get with Mike and make sure that this is good, it'll probably take better part of 2 weeks to pull all that together. With that kind of end of the month kind of thing, does that work into the zoning commission schedule for the next meeting or?
You mean the 28th?
I'm asking if we got it in, say the 28th, does that work for your the meeting after that one?
The next meeting after that one, Michelle, I believe is on the 5th of May.
Yeah, and we don't have anything.
Yeah.
Can we say shoot for the 28th or 29th then? And if that provides you adequate time for the 5th?
Oh, you mean for submittal?
Middle, yeah.
Okay.
April 28th submittal, May 5th meeting.
Okay.
Does that work for you? I know you're the one that has to, Michelle, you're the one that has to
Oh,
process.
that's fine. And then I would anticipate the trustee meeting to be potentially the first one in June. So just,
Right.
Okay.
If that works with your office schedule, I will shoot for the 28th to have everything in.
Yeah, I have nothing else to do.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Well,
Yeah, that's
got
fine.
June down cold, Michelle.
Sorry.
Got that out of the way.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, I don't have any other comments, Mark.
Okay. Can I have a motion to recess zero end?
Public, is there any public on here?
Oh. Let me check YouTube. I have gotten nothing on YouTube, and then there is one individual on the Zoom meeting. Where he's just on there for the experience. He made the comment.
Okay. I'm sorry, I had to ask.
No, it's good.
Can I have a motion to recess 0N-19-07 to Tuesday, May the 5th? Should we call it at Orange Township Hall?
That's
Just
a great
hoping.
question.
Feeling pretty lucky, huh?
Oh,
Let's
boy.
be all hopeful. Yeah.
But if we call it an Orange Township Hall and it doesn't happen, what is it? What do we do then?
Andy, what do you think? What if we said something like recess to May 5th, Township Hall, unless there is a governor's, an extension of, unless there's a governor's order prohibiting, or any order, I suppose, we'd have to figure out who, prohibiting such a gathering or something.
Yeah, I mean,
It'll be on virtual Zoom.
yeah, the stay-at-home order is actually the order of the director of the Ohio Department of Health.
You're right.
And so what makes sense to me, Mike, is refer to it as Dr. Acton's order, or her title, don't necessarily refer to her personally. And then the meeting will be held at the hall unless the order's been extended, in which case, video conference by Zoom, however you want to phrase that.
Video hearing.
Yeah, video hearing. You're right. That's better.
Yeah.
That's better because we have a presiding officer and it's got an effect on.
Yeah, and it's, and there's deliberation going on.
Mm-hmm.
And people have the right to participate if they were here.
Right. It's subject to sunshine law and all that. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm good with that if you guys are. I'll wait for some brave soul to try and get that out. Or we can just go for the hall and pray.
That works.
Okay, so can I have a motion to recess 19-07 Tuesday, May 5th at Orange Township Hall, or alternatively, if the order of the Ohio Department of Health is extended, it to be done virtually.
And
So
at
moved.
7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Mike.
At 7 o'clock. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
This is Adam. So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Pahovich to table application number ZON-19-07 to Tuesday, May 5th at 7 p.m. at Township Hall or otherwise, if the order directed by the Ohio State Department of Health requires us to have this in a video setting. Second by Ms. Alt. Those voting, Mr. Jewell.
Yes.
Michelle, did you use the word virtual in the notes? Is that,
Video and virtual matter. Does that work?
That's fine.
yeah, that's fine. It was just, yeah.
Okay, those voting, Mr. Jewell,
Yes.
Mr. Pahovich,
Yes.
Mr. McNulty,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
and Ms. Alt.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
We're out of here. It's a great question.
You turn this thing off. Leave meeting. There you go.
See you later.
Excellent. No, it's not turning off.